Hello, this is the Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative perspective about the world around me. So my social media links will be provided in this episode along with my email, Substack. And also, you want to support my content and you enjoy my content, the Buy Me a Coffee link will be provided for you to do so. Audio platforms. I'm on Audible, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Pandora, Spotify for podcasters, iHeartRadio, and I am definitely looking to grow to wherever you enjoy your podcast content, that is, I'm on that. And ratings are greatly, greatly appreciated. So feel free to give me a rating on all the podcast platforms that I'm currently on and I'm looking to grow on in the near future. When it's available on there, that is. So I'm jumping ahead of myself, but you get the point. Give me a rating. It'd be greatly appreciated. And also, questions, comments, and concerns is greatly appreciated too. So feel free to give me all of those inquiries through email. Would be greatly appreciated. So this episode is the last part of the series about Harry Belafonte. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about his songs. All right, so here we go. Let's dive in. Island in the Sun by Harry Belafonte, of course. And this is part of the album Belafonte Sings of the Caribbean of 1957. Island in the Sun was the title for a controversial 1957 film about race relations and interracial romance. Harry King of Calypso, Belafonte, starred in the film with Joanne Fonte and wrote and performed the song. The island is a fictional Caribbean one named Santa Marta. The lyrics detail simple life on a Caribbean island, which hopes that this lifestyle will endure. In the film, the song is played over a montage of scenes of island life. The film and the Belafonte album in which the song appears were both released in 1957. Chris Blackwell is his partners and named their record label Island Records after the song, based in Jamaica. The label was founded in 1959. At least 40 artists have covered the song, including the Righteous Brothers, the Merry Men, and Jose Carreras, and so on. And a ska group out of Kingston, Jamaica, turned the song into a Jamaican anthem with their 1967 cover of the song on their debut album On the Beach. Belafonte released an updated version of the song in 2017, and which this is the title, When Colors Come Together. Belafonte's son David wrote the new lyrics, and his grandchildren, that is, sang backing vocals with a children's choir. All right, so let's get into some more of his songs. Okay, Man Smart, Woman Smarter. It was part of the album Calypso of 1956. The Calypso tune was written by Trinidadian composer Norman Spann, who recorded under the name King Radio. He released the first version in 1936, but it gained widespread popularity in 1956, after it was included on Harry Belafonte's breakout album, Calypso. America was gripped by a calypso craze, with several white artists bringing Caribbean flavors to their tunes. Starting with the Andrews Sisters, the number one hit, Run and Coca-Cola in 1945. But the trend really took hold when Harlem-born Belafonte, with his authentic Jamaican roots, merged with tunes like the Banana Boat song, Deo, and Rum and Coca-Cola. Like many other songwriters, Span used biblical stories to make his point. The song espouses that the women of today are smarter in every way because they have learned how to control men through centuries of manipulation. Belafonte sings of biblical men who were led astray by women. Delilah seduced strong man Samson to discover the source of his supernatural strength. She told them all the strength was in the air of his head. Adam and Eve were outset from the Garden of Eden when she convinced him to partake of the forbidden fruit. Eve met snake, paradise gone. She made Adam work from that day on. 900 years old, Methuselah was miserable without a woman, and when he found one, the poor man never lived to see 901. Modern examples include the man falling for a girl at a dance only to discover she has a husband at home. His rebound romance turned out even worse. Several other artists have recorded this, including Chubby Checker, Joan Baez, The Carpenters, Rosanne Cash, and Robert Palmer. The Grateful Dead also made it a staple of their live shows from 1981 to 1995. Most of them cut the biblical references in favor of a shorter verse about a distraught little boy. As it says, little boy sat down and cried, and an old man passing, asking him why, he said, I can't do what the big boys do. Old man sat down and he cried too. Most versions also changed ever since the world began. Women was always teaching men to ever since the world began. Women been intimidating the ways of men. The cast of I Love Lucy, led by Desi Arnaz, performed this on the 1957 episode Ragtime Band. Also, Belafonte's version was used in Tim Burton's Beetlejuice of '88, starring Michael Keaton. Okay, Mary's Boy Child by, of course, Harry Belafonte. And this was part of the album An Evening with Belafonte in 1957. It charted number 1 in the UK and 12 in the US. Originally, this was a West Indian song written by Chester Harrington, a Juilliard-trained songwriter, that is, who later popularized the spiritual anthem during the Civil Rights Movement in the United States. The song tells the story of the birth of Jesus. When this reached number 1, Harry Belafonte became the first black male to have a number 1 hit in the UK. It was the first song to sell 1 million copies in the UK, and the first ever British number 1 record to have a playing time of more than 4 minutes. The time stamp exactly is 4 minutes 12 seconds. This stayed at number 1 in the UK for several weeks before becoming the only song to drop number 1 straight out of the top 10 the following week after Christmas. When it tumbled from number 1 to number 12, the song returned to the charts the next 2 years at Christmas, going number 10 in 58 and number 30 in 59. During the Christmas season of '78, Boney M. Boney M returned the song to the top of the British charts with the melody Mary's Boy Child / Oh My Lord. According to Boney M, member Barnett, and the book 1000 UK #1 hits by John Kuttner and Spencer Leah. I also thought of Boney M as being put together by a spiritual force, and we like doing spiritual songs. When we did Mary's Boy Child, we added a bit spontaneity at the end. As it worked, we left it in. Hence, the record was listened as a melody of Mary's Boy Child and Oh My Lord. At the end of 2007, Boney M's melody of the song and Oh My Lord Child was the top 10 selling single of all time in the UK. In addition, Boney M's version of Rivers of Babylon was at the date of the 5th top selling single of all time in the UK, making them the only act to have 2 singles in the UK all-time top 10 bestseller list. It was only the last minute that Boney M decided to record and release the song. The singer Liz Mitchell said the process was hard work, as it involved singing a track in the studio more than 50 times in one session, including lead, backing vocals, harmonies, and all of the O's and I's. The Banana Boat song, Deo. So this was a part of the Calypso album of 1956. It charted 2 in the UK and 5 in the US. This is a traditional Jamaican song that was sung by dockbrokers who worked throughout the night loading bananas onto ships. It's daylight and they look forward to the arrival of the tallyman, who would take inventory so they can go home. Belafonte's version used lyrics adapting by Irving Burgery and William Attaway. Burgery, sometimes credited as Lord Burgess, is a popular Caribbean composer. Attaway was a novelist and songwriter who was friends with Belafonte. Berg and Attaway wrote most of the songs on the Calypso album. This song was first recorded in 1952 by Eric Conner, a musician from Trinidad who sang it with his band, the Caribbeans, as They Delight. The song re-emerged in 1956 when the folk singer Bob Gibson taught the song to the folk trio, the Terriers, I believe the pronunciation of that, the Terriers, after hearing it on a trip to Jamaica. Once the Terriers recorded it, the Calypso craze took off in America, and Belafonte capitalized on the trend, according to BMI. The Calypso album was the first to sell over a million, that is, copies. Alan Arkin, who went on to fame as an actor, was a member of the Terriers. Their version was a combination of the traditional Banana Boat song and the Jamaican folk song called Hill and Gully Ride. Shirley Bassey used the same arrangement on her 1957 version and became the first to chart with the song in the UK, hitting number 8. This remains the most popular mainstream Calypso song, and the song most identified with Belafonte. It was not the first Calypso hit in America, however. That honor goes to the Andrews Sisters from Minnesota, who had a number 1 hit in 1945 with Rum and Coca-Cola, a song written and originally recorded by the Trinidadian musician Lord Invader. And the 50s, as the calypso craze took hold, other acts had hit in the genre, often with novelty numbers, as Perry Como's with Paya Mama, George Gibbs with Somebody's Bad Stole the Wedding Bell. But Belafonte had authenticity on his side. His father was from the West Indies, and his mother was from Jamaica, where he lived for about 5 years growing up. 6 artists in the U.S. Top 40 with the Banana Boat song in 57. The Terriers version was the first to chart at number 4 and 15 in the UK, followed by Belafonte, the Fonte sisters, number 13, Steve Lawrence, 18, Sarah Vaughan, 19, and Stan Fredberg, whose comedy version hit number 25. Belafonte performed this on TV for the first time when he was a guest star on the season 3 of The Muppet Show. During the performance, he explained the significance of the talisman to Fozzie Bear. He's the guy who counts the bananas as they go to hold off the ship, and did his best to harmonize with some musically inept Muppets. This was featured in, of course, the dinner scene from the movie Beetlejuice of 88. Smokey Robinson and the Miracles hit in 65. The Tracks of My Tears featured similar chord changes. The Miracles guitarist Marv Tarplin has admitted he got the idea after listening to Harry Belafonte's version of the song. Belafonte said in an interview with the arts journal blog Beyond Jazz, the most important thing to me about the Banana Boat song is that before America heard it, Americans had no notion of the rich culture of the Caribbean. Very few of them did anyway, which made no sense to me. It made no sense to me back then that people in America would not respond to Caribbean culture I knew and enjoys positive ways. But there were these cultural assumptions then about people from the Caribbean. That they were rum-drinking, sex-crazed, and lazy. They were tillers of the land, harvesters of bananas for landlords of the plantations. I thought, let me sing about a new definition of these people. Let me sing a classic work song about a man who works all night for a sum equal of the cost of a dram of beer. A dram of beer. A man who works all night because it's cooler then than during the day. In the E-Trade 2018 Super Bowl commercial, This Is Getting Old, Senior Citizen sings altered lyrics. I am 85 and I want to go home to this song, reflecting their woes at having to work in their dotage or having to work in their old age as I take this. Okay, and turn the world around. This is the last song I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to go into my thoughts and all of this and go and talk about these songs. So, Turn the World Around. This is part of the album of Turn the World Around of 1977. When Harry Belafonte was the guest star on the third season that is, the episode of The Muppet Show in 1979, he explained the inspiration for the song before he performed it with various Muppets in African garb. When Fozzie Bear asked him about writing, Belafonte said, "I discovered that song in Africa. I was in a country called Guyana. I went deep into the interior of the country, and in a little village, I met with a storyteller. The storyteller went way back. That is, way back in American tradition and African mythology, and began to tell me the story about fire, the sun, the water, the earth. And at this point, a crowd of Muppets gathered around. He pointed out the whole of these things put together turns the world around. That all of us are here for a very, very short time. And that time that we're here, there really isn't any difference in of us. If we take time out to understand each other, the question is, do I know who you are or who I am? Do we care about each other? Because if we do, together, we can turn the world around." So, Harry Belafonte and his music is an example to me of speaking and voicing your opinion about things, but having sophistication about it and having a real cause behind it, and having humble and seeing beyond the ideas of, for example, particularly when I was talking about other artists who happen to be white, emulating these sounds and not going and seeing it as a way of being insulting to what you want to do as a means to another way of adding on and giving more of an elaborate in-depth about the culture from your authenticity and showing the authenticity of the culture of who you're speaking of the people you're speaking about, because that's where you're from. And it's also a really good example of reminding people can remind themselves about, and reminding yourself about that you don't have to be so of today, for example, how screaming pro this, that, the other, without having from my point of view, our point of view of stepping back and out of it and seeing things for what it is. And if you feel this way, speaking on it on a more calm and intelligent way, instead of a emotional driven plight of speaking about race relations or speaking about political issues and so on and so forth. It's very notable to think about. All right, so this reaches the end of the Harboring Light. And of course, feedback is greatly important. And the best way to reach me, you have questions, comments, to reach me you have questions, comments, concerns, email me. Tune in, turn up, and definitely take care. Bye-bye now.